And welcome everyone to our AP Top 25 reaction poll chat here on the Bleacher Report app, as well as it'll be repurposed on March Madness MBB on our social media accounts. And of course, NCAA.com. I'm Andy Katz. You can find me at the Andy Katz on Twitter, the real Andy Katz on Instagram. All right, so here's what we're going to lay out for you. We're going to go over the poll. We're going to unveil my Power 36. We'll look at my Player of the Week, Team of the Week, games to watch this week, stock up, stock down, and then we will take your questions. A reminder, Tuesdays are now our day to bring out a bracket. So we will be back right here at 1 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday. So let's look here at the AP Top 25. First off, top two stay the same because they're the two best teams in the country, UConn and Purdue. I think there's a big gap. Doesn't mean that they're both going to play for the national championship. We know how that works. Every time we think something's going to happen, something else sends us sideways. But they're the two best teams. And then there's a gap. How big's the gap? We'll wait and see. Houston at 3 is interesting. You'll see I moved them up. But they're two good wins after that loss to Houston. Marquette, I see we're in alignment here of being, high up in the top 10. Arizona's back in that group for me. Kansas, remember they lost on Monday to K-State, so you could have dropped them. Carolina lost earlier in the week at home to Clemson. I'm still high on Tennessee, even though they lost at Texas A&M. There's Duke, Iowa State, South Carolina getting the love they deserve. You'll see where I have them. Baylor, Auburn, Illinois, Alabama, Dayton. I have no problem with all this. I love that St. Mary's is getting the love they deserve. BYU, okay. Well, I'm going to skip over this. Virginia, great. Skip over this one. Indiana State, love to see them ranked at 23. FAU at 24. Oklahoma at 25. Okay, take a breath here. Wisconsin. I was there last Wednesday when they lost to Michigan. They lost to Rutgers. The Badgers have lost 4 in a row. I'm really shocked that they are still ranked. 4 losses in a row. Still really good basketball team. I don't understand how they can still be ranked. I don't know what else to say. They've lost 4 in a row. Kentucky lost at home to Gonzaga. They've lost 3 straight home games. Again, Kentucky should be dropped for, again, losing another home game. FAU split its week. No problem dumping them out. So those are my major gripes. The first 19, no problem. You can play with the order and all that. So let's do that. Let's go to my 1 through 13 in the Power 36. And you'll see how I've tweaked it in comparison. Right off the bat, you see very similar there. UConn, Purdue. So Arizona, Marquette, Carolina, Kansas, Houston. South Carolina makes my top 10, tied with Alabama, top of the SEC. Tennessee right behind them. Duke and Virginia are playing the best basketball behind Carolina in the ACC. So for all the down ACC, and by the way, that's it, but you got 3 really good teams in the top 12. So very similar to the Big Ten, top heavy, good at the top. As it goes down, it gets a little muddled. 13 through 24. This is where you'll see some tweaking here in the Power 36. St. Mary's, I got them higher. They won at Gonzaga. They're undefeated in the WCC. Illinois, Baylor, Iowa State, Indiana State, similar range. Auburn, BYU, Utah State atop the Mountain West. I still have them up there. I love what Butler's doing. And look at Washington State. Okay, I'm ranking Washington State. The Cougars won at Oregon. They're in second place in the Pac-12. Kyle Smith, right now, to me, is the coach of the year in the Pac-12. I am ranking Washington State. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, they're not even on the grid in the AP Top 25 poll. I'm ranking them. Now 25 through 36. And you'll see that this is where also I'm looking at teams that are playing well. Clemson. They were nowhere in the AP Top 25. What did Clemson do? They won at Carolina, and they won at Syracuse. Northwestern, good week, 2 home wins, but they needed them. Nebraska, Penn State. Michigan State beat Illinois. A&M beat Tennessee. Gonzaga beat Kentucky on the road. Dayton split its week. South Florida, I think they deserve love. They're in first place in the American. Yale beat Cornell, undefeated. Oklahoma starting to play much better basketball. They've won a couple in a row. Colorado State, right there with Utah State. They beat San Diego State. Nevada beat Boise. Wake Forest. Steve Forbes doing a great job. Everything he's dealing with in his personal life, with his wife recovering from a stroke. It's just amazing how he's been able to compartmentalize. So a shout out to what everyone is, what everyone's doing at Wake. So now my player of the week. Let's deal with that first. What an outstanding job, PJ Hall did this week for Clemson. Led them to a pair of season-changing wins at Carolina and Syracuse. He scored 25 points, grabbed 9 boards, had 3 assists in that win in Chapel Hill. 15-10 in the win at Syracuse. Now Clemson 6-6 in the ACC, 16-7 overall. 6'10" senior is getting it done. Team of the week goes to the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Gonzaga backs against the wall. They had 0 quad 1 wins. 0. So what do? They go to Kentucky, they get the win. Still 2 games back of St. Mary's. But, hold on, take a drink here. The good news for the Zags is they've got the quad 1 win. That is critical right now for Gonzaga. Excuse me. They've been to 24 straight NCAA tournaments. I think there's a good chance they go 25 with that win. Now let's look at my top 10 games this week. Top 10 games, Marquette at UConn, Saturday. First of 2 games between the two. UConn's still the Big East favorite. If Marquette wants a chance to catch UConn, they're going to need help. Plus, get at least one of these. Tyler Kolek's playing great right now. That's number 1. South Carolina at Auburn. Auburn split its week, beat Alabama, lost to Florida. Gamecocks are tied with Alabama for the first spot in the SEC. Kansas at Texas Tech. Again, Texas Tech's trying to win the Big 12. Kansas is the team you got to knock off, in addition to Houston. Kentucky at Auburn. So huge week for it. Look at that. 2 Auburn home games. The jungle's going to be going crazy. 2 Marquette games. Marquette at Butler. Butler beat Providence. They have already won in Milwaukee. So they're trying to get a sweep of the Golden Eagles, which would be huge for their case. New Mexico at San Diego State. They beat San Diego State in the pit, trying to get the sweep of the Aztecs. Lobos were shocked at home by UNLV. They got swept by the Running Rebels. Iowa State at Cincinnati. Iowa State, to me, locked. They're trying to win the Big 12 as well. Bearcats need this one, though, because they're going to be bubblicious. Here's a big-time bubble game. St. John's at Providence. That's on Tuesday. Providence, you could argue they got robbed in their last game, but, man, they were close to winning that one, and they need this one. But so does St. John's. They're not a lock. Ole Miss at Kentucky. Kentucky's lost 3 straight home games. They got to win this game. And Ole Miss is starting to be a little shaky. Maybe overachieved early. Colorado State at San Diego State. Again, San Diego State's great at home at Viejas, not good on the road. So, and this will be another telling sign. All right, here's my stock up, stock down from the week. Stock up, Arizona back in contention for a 1 seed. Marquette trying to challenge in the Big East. They're rising in your seed line. Virginia, 9 in a row. St. Mary's, undefeated in the WCC. Washington State, 2nd in the Pac-12. I ranked them. Texas A&M, huge home wins, beat Tennessee, trying to get into the tournament. And Gonzaga gets that quad 1 win. Stock down, Wisconsin lost 4 in a row. Shouldn't be ranked. Kentucky, 3 straight home losses. Utah, horrible week and a half in the Pac-12. They're on the outside looking in. Boise, just when I was on the Broncos, they lose in a couple row. Maryland was going to be my 7th team out of the Big Ten. Laid a big-time egg. Lost at home to Rutgers. Lost on the road. They are fading. St. John's, again, trending in the right direction, then they take a step back. Ole Miss, undefeated late, one of the last ones undefeated. They have started to fade as well. All right, so now let's take your questions as I've set the table here. First off, from Godmiz, ain't no way Marquette is playing better ball than UNC, Kansas or Houston, and South Carolina. Alabama had a Duke and UVA is wild. That's your opinion. Fair enough. This is not written in stone. FAU is not the 24th best team, says fake Derek Dietrich. Again, I wrestled with, do I put them at 24 to basically 28? You can put them in a bunch of places. I don't think, if you want to slide them out of the top 25, that's fine. They score a lot. The Wiz, boom, Tennessee at 8. Easier matchups for them for a while. Other teams will lose, especially in the SEC. Agree. I still think they're a top 10 team despite losing at A&M. Mark Miller, Michigan State hopefully is getting close to being ranked. I agree with you. They're right on the cusp. Home win over Illinois was huge, but they got to do a little bit more. Sir Busworthy, what does Florida need to get ranked? Win 2 in a row. Just when you want to get excited, beat Auburn, then they lose again. So they've got to be a little more consistent. But I think they're going to be right there on the bubble to get in. And Todd Golden, I think, will get across that threshold. And Anderson, how does Dayton go up 2 after a loss? In large part, it's basically, it was they won at St. Joe's, they lost at VC. It was a road loss by 2. Whereas Clemson, they picked up huge quad wins. I agree with you, Logan. I have them ranked. Now, Ricky says the Mountain West disrespect is crazy. Colorado State, Nevada deserve it. Here's what I'm doing with them, with the Mountain West. I'm just rotating them in because they win, they lose, they win, they lose. UNLV now is getting hot. There's a good chance we could see 6 Mountain West teams. I think it'll ultimately be 5 because they keep cannibalizing itself. Liverpool says, does USF get ranked with a win against FAU? I would hope so. I got them in my Power 36, as you saw. Ashley says the SEC goes through Auburn and Bama and Tennessee. Ole Miss is not making the tourney. Change my mind, says Wiffle. You're right. They're trending in the wrong direction. This is a huge game at Kentucky for them. C. Sean says, any chance UCLA can make the tourney? Yes, because they could win the Pac-12 tournament. And I know you say, oh, of course they can. Well, they actually can because they're playing well. That's why they can. Elijah Aguiar, thoughts on UNC dropping 4 spots, home loss. Maybe that's why. Brain says, how many Big East teams make the tournament? All right. UConn, Marquette, Creighton. Those are your 3 locks. I think ultimately you're going to have Butler, Seton Hall, and then it comes down, is it St. John's and Providence, St. John's or Providence? I think I'm going to go with 6. Someone's going to get left out because they're going to beat each other up. Ralph Ucci, what does Loyola have to do to get ranked? They've been playing well recently. They got to be alone in first place in the A-10 and continue to rack up the wins. Bryce says, does Wisconsin make the tourney? Of course they do. Now the question is seeding. Remember, February 17th, that's this Saturday coming up, top 16 reveal. Top 16 reveal is on Saturday. So that's when we'll learn the top 4 lines. And 2 weeks ago, Wisconsin was flirting with a 1. Then they were locked for 2. Now we'll see. Are they on the 3 line? Still have a good resume. A lot of quality wins. All right. Appreciate everyone's time here. Again, 1 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday, we'll discuss our new bracket. As always, stay on this Bleacher Report app, March Madness MBB, NCAA.com. Find me on Twitter at the Andy Katz or on Instagram at the real Andy Katz. Appreciate everyone out there. Continue to engage. We love this. We are now in mid-February, getting closer and closer to March Madness, which I know the Super Bowl just ended. There is nothing like March Madness in terms of a playoff competition. It's the best playoffs. It's one and done. In the American landscape, I'm not going to compare it to the World Cup, but in the American landscape, one and done. March Madness is the best. 3 weeks of a postseason in any sport. Thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate you.